Welcome to Real Estate Success Development. I'm your host, David Nguyen, and we're here to talk about how to have great success in every market. Today, I have a great guest on the show. His name is Zach Dunivan from Arkansas. Zach, you tell the people exactly what part of Arkansas you're serving. Welcome to the show, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. So where am I in Arkansas? I am currently just moved to Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm about 4 hours from anywhere in the state. Moved from Jonesboro up in the northeast corner. I've been doing real estate up there for about 4 years now, and have a lot of good clients that are up there. And don't worry, I'm still serving my clients up there as well. I'm also expanding down to the central Arkansas market.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you're serving a pretty wide range, huh?
Yes, teams in place, continually growing. But yes, the goal is help more people, sell more real estate. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you told us a little bit. I call you a rookie veteran because even though you're in the top, your first couple of 4 years of real estate, you're putting up veteran numbers in a market that's really tough. The last 2 years has been really tough because of the interest rates and everything else. But you're killing it, man. So what are you doing to get leads? What are you doing to have success? Tell the people.
What am I doing to get leads? It didn't happen overnight. Right now, I definitely pay for a service to help generate or bring buyer leads, basically just to get the word out there. It didn't start off that way. That is a very expensive way to go. When you first start off, my very first year, I did get Rookie of the Year up in Northeast Arkansas. And I tested that too, my work ethic. I was on the phone every day. I literally calling everybody in my sphere. I call anybody who would answer the phone, I talked to them. No matter where I was always reaching out to people saying, hey, how can I help you? It wasn't necessarily saying, hey, can I sell something for you? Hey, what do you have to sell? Hey, you want to buy something? It's all about, I'm here to help you. I was like, hey, can I help you? Are you looking for something?
Yeah.
I can help you find it. Or, a lot of times I listed a whole lot of properties. They were like little bitty lots, but basically people who didn't want other realtors who, quite frankly, the commission wasn't high enough or worth their time to sell. And I sold a lot of little lots, little bitty houses to help people. That was my main focus. I truly believe you focus on the person and what they need. And that's the basis. That's my foundation for what brought me from my success to now.
Yeah, who's the sales guru that says if you help people get everything they want, you'll get everything that you want? It's actually, he teaches that. So I love that. I love that. So let's tell the people. 4 years in the business. What did you do before this? What made you get into real estate?
Well, it was just time. It was 2020. So really, right before COVID came out, really and truly, it's just the way timing worked out. The job where I was, I felt that I had just, topped out, capped out. I was there for 7 years. And long story short, I put in my notice, and then, it was February of 2020 when I was like, you know what do I need? What do I do now? So I was like, you know what? People had always said, hey, you'd be really good at real estate. And I'd always had in the back of my mind, hey, try it out. It was just always there, just kind of nagging me on saying, you should really try this. So I did. And I officially started, I believe it was October, of 2020. COVID happened, beginning of 2020. So about the time that I started going through the classes in the school to get my license, things got shut down. So I'm sitting at home, not doing anything, going, okay, what am I going to do here? So then I was like, perfect time to start real estate courses. I finished my real estate class, took the test, got my license. And one of my customers from my previous job owned her own brokerage. And she always told me, she said, if you get your license, come work for me anytime, open invitation. So that's what I did. It was a small boutique real estate brokerage where I first started. And I will say this, that brokerage just wasn't right for me. The great brokers are still there, I felt like I needed more, so I moved to a different brokerage in November of 2020, and from the short amount, I guess from October, I was there with them for a month. November of 2020 through the full next year, and I had a goal set that I was going to make a certain amount of money, work in reverse. How much volume do I have to have? And I was going to get Rookie of the Year, and that's what I did. So that's
First,
in a nutshell my first year and getting into this world.
with the whole world being closed down.
Yes, you wouldn't believe how many phone calls I'd have to make, and because nobody would see. You can't go visit people, right?
No.
It's really hard to get people on the phone because that's when like spam calls started going through the roof because everybody was calling everybody about everything. People would turn their phones off, but somehow we made it through.
That's awesome, man. What a great story. Now, 4 years later, look at you. So let's talk about where you're at today. You're serving Arkansas a little bit too. You're an investor, right? Aren't you? Don't you invest in a little bit of housing?
I do. So me and my wife, that's a whole other story. We won't get into that. That's for another podcast.
Okay.
As far as our investments go, one of the things that we had always talked about, I'd been in real estate for 2 years when we met. And then it was like, hey, what do you want to do? I said, are you ready for this? She's like, oh, yeah, I want to invest. I'm like, are you sure you're ready to do this? Long story short, interest rates were low. We had a great banker who helped us out with a portfolio loan. And we bought within a 6-month period, we ended up purchasing, I think, 8 properties.
Oh, wow.
Just from a standard, long-term rental all the way, and then we had some Airbnb short-term rentals as well, and a flip or two in there. So we kind of experienced it all, and it was a very hectic time, closing on all these properties and then trying to get them rented, get them furnished for Airbnbs, and it's all new to us. We've never done any of this before, so it was fun. Would I do it again? I'm still investing, but I won't do that many that quick. I don't think.
So let's talk about that. So whenever you go to a bank and do a portfolio loan, was any of that money out of your own pocket? Did you have to put anything down, or was it all bank loans?
Very little was out of our pockets. Now, the reason why that happened that way, and I'm new to the banking world, and I don't know 100%, but I believe because the interest rates were lower, and I was negotiating the properties down well below the 80% LTV.
Yep.
I believe that's probably the main reason why we were able to do so much, without having a whole lot out of pocket. Out of pocket we had, closing costs is what we had.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was able to negotiate. So every deal we were, I don't know, anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 per deal out of pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. So you didn't have to. So since they were portfolio loans, these weren't your traditional government loans, no conventional FHA. They're holding them in house, so you don't have to put down any down payment. Basically they're financing the whole thing, and you're just paying for closing costs.
Right. As long as the numbers work and the rent outweighs what our mortgage payment is by.
Yeah.
At the time, it was 1.25%.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 125%. Then they gave us the loan.
Hey guys, it's Devin
and David.
We're your real estate success partners. Hey, if you're enjoying these podcasts and want us to keep bringing back this content, we truly appreciate you following us. But if you could go below and subscribe or make some comments, we'd truly appreciate it. And we'll keep bringing back great content in 2024.
That's awesome, brother. That's awesome. Hey, man, you know what? Tricks of the trade. If those people that are thinking about investing, they think they have to come up with 20% of their own money. Obviously, you don't. So there's a lot of. So how did you get into it? Did you have someone that mentored you, or is this something you just self-learned? You went to the bank on your own?
I think back on it. I can't really pinpoint it to one specific person or one specific event. It's just accumulation over the years of seeing people do it. Talking to people, talking to investors. I'm going, listening to podcasts. it sounds too good to be true. Now, let me tell you something. It's work. Don't. It's not easy. You got to do your research, and it could. You get the numbers have to work first and foremost. I will say a podcast, Bigger Pockets, I listen to quite a bit. That kind of helped me get started as far as thinking in the right line of thinking. Talking to lenders, and then also getting in real estate. One of the main reasons why I switched brokerages and went to a Coldwell Banker, it was the owner there in Jonesboro, one of the owners, Carol Caldwell. He looked at me, and when he sat down before, they hired me to come over, I'll never forget it. He says, if you listen and you do what I say to do, I'll make you a millionaire. That stuck with me. He says, and the biggest piece of advice that he gave me, he said, learn how to use other people's money to buy your stuff. I'm sitting there going, as a brand new agent, I'm going, what? What does that even mean?
Right.
That started my journey as, him saying, if you listen to what I say, I'm going to make you a millionaire. And then the other big piece was, again, figure out a way to use other people's money, leverage other people's money. That's probably the biggest thing that got me started investing and really, started going down this rabbit hole of investing in real estate.
Well, that's awesome. Well, again, our podcast is called Real Estate Success Partners. The partners that you have make such a tremendous difference in your progression or how much you can grow. And that's awesome, man. What a great story, Zach. So let's get away from the investment side, because that's really interesting. You taught me a little bit today, and I'm a banker. People don't typically think about that, but I would suggest, to the people out there, if you're looking at portfolio loans or whatever, I wish you would come to me or something like that, but we don't do stuff like mortgage banks or the bigger lenders don't do stuff like that. Typically, these are done with your local savings and loans, your local bank. You go in there, introduce yourself, have a talk with the banker, and tell them what your thoughts and hopes are. And that's typically how it's done. You don't want to go to the big box banks to do something like this. It would be my advice.
I would agree with that. I went to several banks, and I was told no a lot too. So, if you're going to get into real estate or investing, you can't be afraid. Just get used to being told no, and consider that a win. When you're told no, at least you can move on. You know that, okay, we're done. But that doesn't mean that your dreams are done. That means that door's closed. Go find another door to open.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So fast forward today, you're living in Little Rock, Arkansas with a wife, and I understand that you have a newborn. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. I have a newborn at home, Miss Scarlett. She's a month and a few days old. Actually, my wife would probably kill me since I don't know the exact how many days or hours that she's.
It runs together.
So much.
If you're getting sleep at all.
Nah. Especially now that we're getting some sleep. We're starting to get some. We have a system. We are blessed enough to where she's on maternity leave right now. I can work from home a lot of the time, so I can definitely be around and help with that. So that way we can at least get a few hours of sleep between us. So
that's awesome, brother. That's awesome. Well, congratulations on the new baby. These are exciting times. But I remember my first two. My first one was an angel, and the second one didn't sleep for 2 years. You're just a walking zombie. So God gives you what God gives you.
I've heard that. In fact, my mother-in-law, Ashley's mother, has said that. She said, she told Ashley, she said, if I had Chris, her younger brother, first, I would have stopped. But since Ashley was apparently a great kid, she had another one. And anyway, Chris and I are close. He's also in real estate as well. But anyway, that's for another podcast too. So
right. So tell us, Zach, what are you? You do both sides of the listings? Are you a buy side agent, or are you more heavy on the list side? What is there any specific that you focus on real estate?
My goal is to help people first and foremost. Depending on what that looks like, everybody's stage in life is different. I do like to focus primarily on listings.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that the reasons behind that is that, in real estate, listings are the name of the game. I'm sure a lot of people have heard that, list to live. Buyers agents are definitely, they have their work cut out for them, especially now with the new settlement
NAR
that came
rules.
down from the
Yeah.
Department of Justice with the NAR, and that's a lot of buyers agents are going to be struggling just because they've never had to have brokers buyers agreements. That's a practice that I've practiced since day one. So it's really doesn't affect me a whole lot, other than just telling people that there's a few new forms out there. We can get into that. That's a deep one there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as you know, we sent out a thing about the new NAR rules. Last weekend was the first weekend it was going into effect. In fact, I'll share a story. I know of 10 buyers agents that literally went under contract and got zero commission, and they didn't realize they got zero commission until they went under contract.
And
10. So it was just, they just assumed, and what happens when we just assume without reading the fine print and
right,
stuff like that. So with it being the first weekend, one of the things our company did was we sent out I think you got a text of the new NAR rules and all this stuff. In fact, our company is creating an AI bot that is going to be attached to that. So if you have a question about the new rules, you just have to type it in there and it'll tell you what the rules and regulations are.
good deal.
But it's these are uncharted waters. That we haven't had this in real estate ever for realtors. So I can see where the confusion is, and even now I can talk to two different brokers, and I've gotten two different answers as of last week what the rules were.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so it goes to, you got to make sure you're buttoned up and you're doing the right thing to make sure that everybody's protected.
I couldn't agree with you more on that. There's a lot. There's some definite changes that are like there's no interpretation, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel for the people who the bottom line is, without getting too far into the weeds here, it's about being transparent and open, and helping your clients. As long as you're transparent and open, you should be fine. The biggest thing on the buyer's brokers agreement is that if you want to get paid from the buyer side, you have to disclose that in that buyer's agreement. Now, what I tell everybody, and they're freaking out, going, "Well, who's going to pay? The buyers can't afford it." Well, that may be true. However, you have to put a number or a percentage on that buyer's broker agreement if you want to get paid. That means if you put 1%, that's the maximum you're going to get paid. So why not put 3%, 4%, 5%? You can do that, and I'm going to, I'm giving you a piece of my, of info here, free of charge. This is something that I do in my agents that that I work together that we do. I put on there, say, look, I just tell them, say, look, we're looking at 3.5%, 4% for the buyer's commission. They're like, whoa, that's way too much. I'm like, you're right, it is a whole lot, but here's the deal. The reason why we put this on there is because we're negotiating on your behalf for you, and it's our job your representation to find the issues with the house, to bring it down to a fair market value, whatever that looks like. And not only that, it's also our job to get the seller to potentially cover some of that, because they're used to doing that anyway.
Right.
So in that broker's agreement that you have, you can only get paid a maximum of what's on it, what number you put on there. So if you put 1%, it doesn't matter if you're able to negotiate that the sellers pay you, 3%. Your max is 1%. So why not go ahead and put 3.5% on there, 4% on there? And you know what? This is what I tell my buyers. I'm like, look, guys, I am not going to lose a deal for you over 1%. Right? So if I'm able to negotiate that the seller pays me the 3% commission, and I have it at 3.5 for you to pay, if you agree with my services and you feel like we're working well together and I've done what I've said, and you want to pay me that 0.5%, great, I appreciate it. But I'm not going to make you do it and kill a deal over 0.5%. I'm not going to do it, because again, it's about the client, it's about the customer.
Yeah, that's awesome, Zach. So what you said a lot of what you deliver to your customers. Why, there's a lot of agents out there when they're picking agents. Why should they pick you, Zach?
Why should they pick me? Well, they don't have to pick me. I'll say that, there's a lot of things that you should definitely do when you're interviewing an agent. And one of those is definitely, first of all, you have to jive well with them, right? You got to have
Yeah.
that good rapport. And if you don't, and I'm not going to be a fit for everybody, which is fine. That's okay. First and foremost, you have to jive well. You have to have that good rapport. You got to have good communication. Set the expectation. Have that conversation. Say, hey, how often am I going to see, or am I going to talk to you, right? And not only that, I'll say this: I'm not a door opener. If you see a home and you want to go see it, don't call me. I'm not going to go open the door for you. The way I help my clients is that I add, where are you in the buyer's process, right? Are you just getting started? You have no business going and looking at a house right now. We need to see where you are financially.
Yep.
We got to find out, first that you're pre-qualified. Well, what does that mean? Well, you're talking about debt to income ratio. We talk about, how much you're paying in rent right now. That usually helps if you're paying rent. What's your credit score? And hey, just your credit score alone, there's so many facets just in that area. We can sit there and break that down as well. I've helped clients with like a 500 credit score, getting a home in less than 3 months. Probably one of my greatest success stories is that right there. And it's, I'm going to work for you. So bring it all back here. I'm going to work for the buyers. It's not the other way around. They shouldn't have to be begging me to give them a call to figure out what's going on. I am proactive with my clients. And at the end of the day, I'm not a one-time transaction guy. I'm not looking to have one transaction with you. I help you buy that home, first home, second home, whatever it is, and for your situation, and bye.
Yeah.
Enjoy the home. No. My job is I want to be there for you. I want to be your agent for life, or your kids, or your family, your friends. I'm there to help you because one of your biggest assets in your portfolio is your home. That's what it is. It's going to appreciate and value. In Arkansas right now, homes are appreciating on average about 3.3% every year. Every market's a little bit different, but on average, 3.3%. So rough math, if you buy a $200,000 home, and let's just say you don't make a single payment on it, in 5 years, you're looking at close to, you can check my math here. I don't have it right in front of me, $230,000, $240,000 in 5 years.
Yeah.
It's find me another asset that does that. And that's tangible like that.
Yeah. That's awesome, Matt. Well, Zach, thus far during your professional career as a realtor, what's that one achievement or moment that you came across that made you say, hey, you know what, I chose the right career? I've been this in 4 years, but what's that one? I know you have several because I know you love helping families, but what is it? What's that one that you said, you know what, this is the reason why I'm real estate. This is why I want to help people.
Yeah, probably is that one I mentioned before. It's going to be where I'll try to keep this short here. I was helping a client. It was a buyer, and we looked at a home, right? And I set it up to see the home with the listing agent, and then knock on the door when we get there, and there's no sign in the yard. And the homeowner or the tenant opens the door and says, hey, can I help you? I'm like, oh, yeah, we're here to see the home. But what do you mean? Like, well, it's up for sale. She's like, are you serious? I'm like, well, yeah. And I showed her the listing. She was very gracious. I thought it was all set up and ready to go. That's what I was told. And anyway, she was gracious enough to let us go in, look at the home. And I could, she's there with her 2-year-old daughter. And anyway, I say, hey, as we walk out, I thank her. I say, hey, if you hang on just for a second here, I want to talk to you afterwards because obviously I want, I care about people, right? And this is obviously, it was kind of a shock to her, us showing up. My client says, hey, I want to make an offer. I'm going to buy this house. Okay, great. So we talk a little bit about that. I go back inside and I say, hey, I appreciate you letting us in on, very short notice. We just showed up. And she said, what am I going to do? What's going on? I'm like, he wants to buy it. This is where we are. I'm sorry you're in this position. I said, but I'm also here to help you. There's laws in place to help keep you from, getting evicted from your home in this sort of matter. But, I'm going to help you. With that being said, you definitely need to talk to your landlord, who is also the listing agent. That's a whole nother story there. Anyway, I said, look, we're going to fast forward a little bit. And I said, I met her and her husband. I said, my buyer's going to buy, he wants to buy the home. We're under contract now. I want to help you guys out. And they say, what can we do? We don't have any credit. We don't, what's the process? We've never bought a home before. We can't even afford a home. I'm like, we went through the process. We talked through everything. They started off with a 500 credit score. And I'm not going to tell you this trade secret, that you'll have to call me on this one, but I was able to get them from a 500 to a 720 within a month's time. And they said, well, where are we going to go? We can't, if this house is closing, we have nowhere to go. I said, look, guys, I have a little rent house that you can go stay in for the month while we find and find your home. And that's what we did. We closed on that house. They were able to move into my rent house temporarily. They were there for a month. Maybe a month and a half. We had found them the other home, and we went through that entire process, and they closed on their home. And literally from the day that I met them, 3 months later, they were in their own home. And I still talk to them to this day, have email communications and text, and they're great, great people.
Man, what a great story. No wonder you want to help people. I mean, not only do you, be the realtor, but you help them get into a house of your own property. And there's not many realtors that can even have the possibility to do that. That's what makes you a super realtor, Zach. You're going to go really far in this world, in this business. I can't wait to see your journey, what's going to happen to you in the next 5 to 10 years. Well, super excited for that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I definitely need some more rent houses in order to be able to do that. So,
yeah, well, we don't want them empty. You got to have renters in there.
Right. It just, the timing worked out great for them. So
exactly. Well, Zach, we could sit here and talk all day, but I know you're busy. You got a million things you got to do and help people out there. What did we not talk about that we should have talked about today?
The biggest thing is just if you're wanting to get into real estate, here's my biggest recommendation for you. If you're going to do it, do it for the right reasons, and then the money will come. Don't do it for the money. Do it for the people, and do it full time. I will say that. My biggest thing is help people, help the customer. There is a monopoly on knowledge right now, and it's our job in the real estate field to educate people to where they can make an informed decision. Quit hoarding that info. You need to educate yourself for one as a realtor in this profession, but at the same time, it's our job. It's our fiduciary duty to let our clients know about it. So that's probably going to be the best thing I have to say here in this podcast.
That's awesome, brother. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, if the people in Arkansas want to find you, how do they find Zach Dunivan?
Well, I could say just Google me, Zach Dunivan, real estate agent. But no, my direct number is 573-559-4234. That's going to be the quickest way to reach out to me.
All right, folks, and you probably saw that in the lower thirds if you're watching online. So again, what's that number again, Zach?
573-559-4234.
That's awesome. Well, Zach, it was a pleasure having you on today. And I know this, if you are in the Little Rock, Central Arkansas area and looking for a great realtor, call Zach. He's your man. He's ready to go. And he's definitely going to help you out. And it sounds like you'll have a lot of fun while you're doing it. Well, guys, we're your real estate success partner. If you want to check us out, come over to realestatesuccesspartners.com. Again, that's realestatesuccesspartners.com. But we prefer you come to our YouTube and meet us face to face. That's going to be at the Dubuque team at YouTube, where you can find us on IG, Facebook, or TikTok. We're on all of on the Dubuque team. And if you do come over, make sure you like and comment. Other than that, that's it. Thanks, guys. See you later.